Good morning.
Hey, yo, what the?
10 KTT.
What's up, everyone? I want to start off this show with a little bit of a song before we jump into it, and I hope you guys will
song?
join me.
A song.
In heaven there is no beer, no beer. That's why we drink it here, right here.
And
Later we're gonna beer. Our friends will be drinking our beer.
La 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 la.
Beer,
La 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 la.
beer.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
And there was your a cappella group, brought to you by Wild Wednesdays. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Johnson here in the studio, joined by Veach and producer Sarge. Fellas, how's it going?
I'll be honest, I came in here pretty low energy. I've got the comfies on, and I was just not expecting that. But man, is that one hell of a warm welcome. I love it. I will admit, I slammed the table once, so anybody that has headphones in, I apologize profusely for it. I caught myself, and I didn't do it anymore after that, so credit to me. But man, I got fired up here and that again.
And that song, just to let you guys and gals know, was brought to you by Captain's Patch. Go find Captain's Patch at captainspatch.com, at your local watering hole, your local liquor store. Go out and support the brand, Elm Creek Brewing. Thank you guys very much for sponsoring this edition of Wild Wednesdays. All right, let's get into it right away. All right, so for those that don't recall or haven't listened before, we start off the show with stick taps. If you're not familiar, that's something good from the sporting world that happened this week. Veach, we'll put you on the spot.
I
What do you
love
got?
it. Stick taps for me this week. I think it's going to be a common or a widely approved one from at least Minnesota anyway. And that's the classic jerseys, the throwbacks that we're seeing. Obviously, the Timberwolves this year, they brought back the trees. That's not necessarily new news, but they've looked good in those. And then the Wild just last night, as we're recording this, bringing back the classic 25th anniversary sweaters.
Hell yeah.
The gold trim on there looks impeccable now. I know it is a little bit of a ripoff from Vegas. They started this gold glitter trend, but I'm enjoying it anyway. I like the throwbacks a lot. It kind of reminds me of a really fun time in Wild history, because it was the beginning of Wild history, but just hockey in general growing up.
Yeah, it's kind of like the good old days.
Yeah.
A rendition of the good old days, which there really aren't too many of those right now for Minnesota sports.
Yeah.
Sarge, what do you got for stick taps?
All right. My stick tap is not hockey related. It is the World Series, guys. This has been probably the best World Series I've maybe ever seen. We got it on the background here. You guys can't see, but I watched the entire 18-inning game.
Ick.
You say ick, but it was electric, dude. It was absolutely electric. I thought the Dodgers were going to honestly sweep Toronto, and I was so wrong, and I'm so glad I'm wrong.
Yeah.
This World Series has honestly been so unreal. Just honestly watching Shohei Ohtani, I never thought I would say this, but I don't know if he's actually getting paid enough. Like
He's
straight
unbelievable.
up.
Well,
Straight up.
technically right now he's not getting paid enough because it was all deferred, but yeah, 700
Dude.
million might not be enough for that guy. When
Just
you're
a chunk
getting
of
walked
change.
as much as Barry Bonds was and not getting the same
Right.
juice, allegedly not getting the same juice. I mean, well, maybe something will come out in the future, but
Right?
he's just an absolute machine, and there's no other way to put it. It is very, very fun to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah, I'm super invested. That's why I got it on right now. So I'm gonna try to read the comments and watch some baseball and listen to us. But dude, this has been so fun. So that's my stick tap, John. So what about you?
Yeah, best of 3 series. Let's go Jays.
Let's go, Jays.
I'll stay in the hockey world. Big news today for former Minnesota Golden Gopher, boo, Logan Cooley, signing a 8-year, $80 million contract extension with the Utah Mammoth. That's a nice little payday for the guy. He is playing lights out, and hint, hint, we will be talking about him when we recap last couple of Wild games here. So I think. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm getting breaking news now. Maybe you guys already talked about this. The Twins named their new manager,
Yep.
Derek Shelton.
Yeah, don't know anything about him.
I was going to ask you, do you guys know anything about this guy?
I saw a tweet when Sarge and I were kind of talking about it. He was a bench coach under Rocco
Oh, God.
and Paul Molitor. And then he was the head coach for the Pittsburgh Pirates for 6
What
seasons.
era?
I don't know,
Okay.
It wasn't good.
but his record was like 301 and 440. So
Based on Twin standards, that's not terrible.
no,
It's a low bar.
that might be a career high. So I saw people were already calling for Rocco to come back and to fire Derek Shelton. So if you're out there on the X universe, formerly known as Twitter, you might see that hashtag going around.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I just saw that and I was like, maybe these baseball guys know. For those that follow me online, you know that I'm a lifelong Brewers fan of the last 5 months here. I gave up. Gave up on
Huge
the Twins.
diehard.
Diehard lifelong Brewers fan of 5 months here. I kind of checked out of the playoffs when they left. The World Series itself has brought me back in, all the drama that we just talked about before. But yeah, the Twins are absolutely dead to me until the Poll lads are
Yep,
no longer involved
100%.
with them. I will check up on ancillary news as it comes across here. Obviously, I'm still going to be interested in it. But yeah, I didn't know if you guys knew anything about that.
Yeah, no, breaking news again here. 10K doing the hard work of real big J journalism here. Breaking the news to everyone. Hopefully this will bring the Twins success, or at least maybe it'll make the Poll ad sell the team. So I think with that, we'll jump into our Take a Lap section of the show. Again, for our viewers who are out there that haven't tuned into the show before, this is something that is not so good going on in the sports world. Veach, I think we can start with you, go to Sarge, and then we'll end with me.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that again here. My take a lap is the Minnesota fans, despite the fact that I was just ragging on myself for jumping ship here. But the thing is, things suck right now.
Terrible.
And everybody wants to be optimistic. And I'm here to tell you, it's okay to be critical. Like, you don't have to have this perpetual glass half full thing. Oh, it's going to get better. Oh, let's look on the bright side of stuff, whatever. Like, for example, in our group chat today, I'll call out some of the 10K guys, not by name, just in general. They were defending the Vikings signing John Wolford as their practice squad quarterback. And
Hell
I get
yeah.
it. It's not the most glamorous job. It's not somebody that's ever going to see the field.
Nope.
Allegedly, it's not somebody who's supposed to be driving excitement. But you're talking about a guy who's got fewer touchdown passes than Mohamed Sanu, LaDainian Tomlinson, and people that are obviously throwing joke passes or trick plays, I should say. But he's not somebody that sets the world on fire. Yeah, technically he's got a Super Bowl ring with the Rams, and that was when Kevin O'Connell had some tutelage there, and that's why the signing is, and I totally understand that. But bring somebody in that's going to be, semi-aggressive on the practice squad that, makes these guys that are practicing better. I don't know.
100%.
It's not somebody that I like to see come across the screen. It doesn't necessarily drive excitement or growth, in my opinion. But, yeah, I think that can be said from not just the Vikings, but all of the other sports that are all in the dumps right now. You can still be critical. You don't have to listen to everybody saying, oh, you're being a Debbie Downer or this, that, or the other thing. Like, be smart about it. You don't have to immediately jump to, oh, this guy should be fired or, whatever, conclusions you want to jump to. If you have a logical take and are critical, that's fine. I think that is good. That's progressive. That helps build a culture of people that want to win for the right reasons. So it's okay. Do it.
Yeah, I think talking about that signing just a little bit more, I mean, quarterback is arguably the most important position in all of sports, and I think just having depth there, and with the signing, like, he has experience with KOC, so I'm sure that had something to do with the signing, but at the end of the day, hopefully he never touches the field for the Vikings, and it's JJ's time to shine, hopefully. Sarge.
The opening pitch, home run.
Yeah, gone. Just like
Wow.
that. 1-0.
Let's go.
What a way to start.
Davis Schneider. Those jerseys are unreal, too. The baby blues. Sick.
Yeah.
Sarge, over to you.
All right. All right. So my take a lap, it's not sports related at all. So I don't know. I know, Johns, you know, because I've sent this in our high school buddies group chat. But my take a lap is to my cousin's husband, Jonathan Weinhagen, who is going to be going to jail for fraud.
Prison.
He's going to prison. So Jonathan Weinhagen basically stole
Need to throw any allegedlys out here.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Caveat, asterisk.
Yeah. So Minneapolis Chamber faces 500K shortfall. CEO left after internal financial investigation.
I'm going to interrupt you. Vlad just hit a home run back to back.
Oh my God! 2 home runs. 2 home runs.
Let's go, Jays. Holy moly.
Holy shit! Let's go. So basically, one did not see this coming at all. But my cousin's husband is going to be in prison very soon, and I think it's going to be for a long time. He stole over $500,000. He embezzled $500,000 from the Minneapolis Chamber
Sick.
of Commerce. It's a wild time right now in my family. It's crazy. So he's going to be facing 2 accounts of wire fraud, 1 account of mail fraud, and then there's another one that I just scrolled past. I can't find right now. But essentially, I mean, this is bad.
That's
insane.
insane.
Did not see this coming. Didn't think he had it in him. I don't think he's gonna do well in prison. Yeah, this is crazy, dude. This is some wild shit.
Do you think that he could be featured on the new season of Prison Break?
There's no way that's
Dude.
still going on.
It's not. It's
Okay,
over.
okay.
It's over.
I thought I was missing
No.
something.
But what's crazy is he made up a fake company called Synergy Partners.
This is great.
Sounds
And-
believable.
Yeah, it sounds like a generic company, right? Like under the name James Sullivan, which is actually, I don't know if you guys are Monsters Inc. guys, but James Sullivan is Sully.
Yeah.
I'm watching you,
Yeah.
Wazowski.
Exactly.
Always
But yeah,
watching.
wild. He goes back to court next Thursday to kind of. I'm not sure how court works, but so yeah, basically, I might have to go and just. This will be like Judge Judy on steroids. It's crazy, but I feel so bad for my cousin and the family, and this isn't good at all.
Could not be good because it's all alleged.
Yeah.
That's
correct.
true.
But
That's
yeah,
true.
wild shit, man.
That is absolutely
That's
insane.
insane.
And thank you for sharing with all of us because
Yeah.
that is just
That is a take a lap. Take a lap.
100%. 100%. Get some cardio in at the gym at the prison or wherever you're going to be housed, and hopefully that'll keep you sane and safe.
Yeah.
My take a lap for this this edition of Wild Wednesdays is going to be the National Basketball Association.
You could do this every week, and I would agree. with you.
100%. Specifically 2 guys that I'm going to call it, Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups, former Timberwolf.
Talk about embezzlement and money fraud.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
so we're just keeping up with the, I
Alleged.
guess this would be white collar crime, I think. But allegations of running or being part in a gambling ring with ties to the mafia. Didn't know they were still around.
No, dude.
So shout out to the mafia, but I think what blows my mind is, aren't these guys making enough money where they don't need to gamble?
I would think so. I mean, I guess I don't follow up on, NBA coaches' salaries. All I know is that league has unlimited money compared to
Yeah.
the one I do follow, NHL. So I got to imagine they're being paid pretty handsomely. The one question I've got here, and it's something that's bothered me for a number of years, and maybe there's a part A and a part B to it. Part A, is the mafia always Italians? Like,
Has to
when I
be.
hear
No.
mafia,
No, not always.
Go
Okay.
on.
There's the Irish mafia for sure, and I think that's where it ends.
the- one of two, 50-50 shot. And then I guess I did know that, so that was a dumb question. Part B of the dumb question is, what is the difference between a mafia, now I can't say the mafia, and cartels? Just the drugs?
I think so, but
No, because Mafia's definitely wasn't. They were involved with some drug stuff for sure.
I mean, if you classify alcohol as a drug itself, like that was
yeah,
certainly a big part
100%.
of
Like
the
during
whole
Prohibition.
mafia. Correct,
Yep.
correct.
Yep.
So dumb questions from me, and I was gonna say maybe it has to do with government interference, but the mafia also had that under their or in their bag back in the day as well. So it's like I've
Yeah.
never known the
Okay.
difference into what clarifies one versus the other.
All right, another thing, Yakuza, are they mafia-esque?
100%,
Yeah, they have to be.
Yeah, right.
It.
100%.
I don't know. It just blows my mind. Sarge and I actually had a conversation. I think it was last week. We were coming to either a stream or a live show, and we were talking a little bit about like Jordan Addison and his like run-ins with specifically driving and driving poorly, maybe or maybe not under the influence. And it's kind of like, don't these professional athletes like have all these resources available to them to like mitigate the opportunity? And also, Sarge, I think, said it beautifully. Can't you afford an Uber?
Oh, dude, they have private cars that will come pick them up.
It's
They just have to call,
insane.
and somebody will come pick them up at any time. They just don't utilize that for whatever reason.
It is absolutely insane. But yeah, the cartel versus mafia distinction, I'm actually like, that's actually something that intrigues me because like the cartel I always associate with like drugs and drug running, but I know that they've also been linked to like trafficking.
100%.
And I guess the mafia, I feel like it's almost like you got the white collar crime with the mafia, and then everything else is like the cartel. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but
Yeah.
that's where my brain goes. Breaking Bad, like that's what I think of.
Sure, yeah, and that's what I think. The American film society and
Yeah.
television, throw it in there as well, would lead everybody in America to believe is that's the distinction between the two. But I didn't know if there was more to it than that or not. And I'm always trying to pick up a little bit here and there, and that's all I've got. I am waiting, now that you bring up Jordan Addison and everything, I am waiting for somebody to put Jordan Addison and Rashee Rice on a drag strip and see who is faster. But I don't know that we're going to get that anytime soon.
Maybe an opportunity for 10K Takes to sponsor that event. And,
The insurance is far too high for us to consider.
Boss man, we'll bring that up as a content idea at the next all team meeting. So
Rashid Rice, Jordan Addison drag race speech. That's amazing.
It would be great.
if the chat knows, I would love to hear their thoughts on cartel versus mafia. If anyone out there is an expert in crime, please share your thoughts on what makes the distinction of a cartel versus mafia.
Speaking of chat,
Yeah.
shout out to someone who just bought some shirts for us. That's
Oh, yeah.
awesome. Go check out our website, and we just dropped some new wild hats.
They're sick.
10ktakesmn.com. Go check them out.
Yeah, if you're a big fan of that guy that's maybe plays for the team that signed a huge extension for us, you'll like these hats a lot. They're noise.
Definitely.
Speaking of the Wild, and I'm sure that's why a lot of the chat is here, should we jump into a little bit of a recap?
Let's do it,
of
baby.
The last couple of games' performance for the Wild. We can quickly just go through the games. The last couple of games that we've had. So oldest to newest, lost to the Devils 4-1.
Yep, that game was going on when we were recording last week. I think the first update that we gave the chat was 2-0 Devils, and it didn't get any better from there. I think final score of 4-1. Yeah, it just the path that they were on, they continued down it and they didn't stray, and that's unfortunate for the Wild. But based on everything that we had talked about leading up to that and during the show, yeah, that's an unfortunate reality that the Wild have found themselves in is losing to more talented teams and not finding a way to win.
Yeah, I was looking back at some of the stats from that game, and a theme is we gave up the first goal in that game.
Yeah.
And we'll touch base a little bit more about this because I have some interesting stats on this. But Boldy was our lone goal scorer, so Boldy's having a nice season or a nice start to the season. Power play went 0 for 3, so I believe Zuch was talking about how hot the Wild power play has been. So Zuch, you absolutely jinxed the crap out of the Wild for this game, so thank you very much. Crazy stat here. I thought this was mind-blowing. And then, Veach, you can go.
Yep.
the Devils had killed 21 straight power plays going into this game, which I thought was absolutely mind-blowing.
I didn't know that, and that adds even more into what I'm going to say here. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, and the chat can yell at me if this is incorrect as well. But I saw something before I came in here when I was just scrolling in the car last minute. The Wild have the number 1 power play in the league.
Yep, that's
and
correct.
The last penalty kill in the league.
Ooh.
They are on opposite ends of the spectrum, so you can say that their special teams is the best or the worst, and you would be right.
Yeah, you can't be wrong in that situation. It's sad.
And I don't know which one I would like more, but if you look at percentages and what's good for each of those, I think a good power play in the NHL is 25%.
Yep,
Is
100%.
kind of the benchmark that you look to surpass and be
Yep.
qualified as good there. And then your benchmark for a good penalty kill is what, 90%?
Yeah, I would say so.
And so, yeah, put me on the power play. If we can keep that and then just get marginally better on the penalty kill, I'm fine with that because it's a deviation from what we had last year where it was impossible. I say we all the time. I'm trying not to do that. It's a deviation from where the Wild were last year and not being able to score on the penalty or power play at all. So it's been fun. I hope that they can keep that up.
I think the power play is so interesting to me because I feel like in past years, the power play has always been middle of the pack.
Yep.
It's never been good. It's never been terrible. It's just kind of there. It's not something we've taken advantage of. So the power play is currently number 1 overall at 31.8%, which is fantastic. I mean, that's clipping 6% higher if that 25% mark is kind of the average or what you're aiming for. And then to your point, Veach, penalty kill is dead last at 62.5%. So we got a ways to go if we are going to improve that part of the special teams. I don't know if that's rotating in different guys and maybe even Hines considering running a different penalty kill. I don't know what your thoughts are on that or if you've paid too close of attention to what we're running for penalty kill, but I just thought that was an interesting statistic.
Yeah, I think there's quite a bit that plays into that. The defensive core that we've got right now, obviously Spurgeon's been a smaller guy compared to league average size for his position.
Yeah.
Faber and Bouillon obviously don't have a ton to do with the penalty kill in terms of the production, I guess, or lack thereof.
Yep.
In the past, and they're young guys, they're still learning. And then the other role guys that we've got back there are just like, they're fine. So we've got nobody that is a shutdown defenseman. I don't think we expected that coming in, but we also didn't expect 60 whatever percent that you had said there. So there's some stuff that's got to get cleaned up. I think Faber in his comments that he's made to the media over the last couple of weeks has acknowledged that.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
And so it's something that's well talked about both in the Wild community and the locker room itself. So fingers crossed that they can figure something out there because that is certainly the weak spot that's being exposed by just about everybody.
100%. Last 2 notes on that game before we go to the Mammoth loss. Something called Nico Dawes had 30 saves on 31 shots. So great game by that guy. I think he's been kind of a backup goalie journeyman his whole career. Heard his name a couple of times, but Gus Bus had a pretty decent game. 31 saves on 35 shots. So Gus Bus was doing his part. Got to put pucks in the net at the end of the day.
100%.
That brings us to the next game, and that was a huge, or should I say a mammoth loss. Too easy for me. 6-2, losing to Utah. Again, I'll start off the conversation here by we allowed the first goal once again in this game.
First 2, I was at that game.
First 2. So terrible start, which I think is going to continue to be a theme with this Minnesota Wild team. Marcus Johansson showed up, scored 2 goals, his second and third of the season. I think it helps that he's playing probably outside of where Minnesota Wild fans would like to see him on that second line, first line area. I think, he's typically a third line, maybe even a fourth line guy for us. And the penalty kill went 0 for 1. So feeding into that 62.5%, which is dead last in the NHL. Thoughts on this game, Veach?
It was ugly all around. Some people are saying that the Wild are in cahoots with Minnesota to get Cooley paid, and that's why they played so poorly against the Mammoth here. Just so that they could say, the average salary of former Gopher players is X amount higher.
Inflate those stats.
Yeah. It was ugly all around. I don't really have much of a positive spin to try and put on this game.
No.
It's a team that I would love to be beating.
100%.
But it seems like they've got all of their young guys locked up right now for at least the next 5 or 6 years. I'm trying to remember what the rest of the contracts are over there. So they're only going to get better as the more experience that those guys get. And it's a tough spot for the Wild to be in because that's where I thought that
100%.
That's where I thought they would be with the younger team that they've got right now. And that does not seem to be the path that they're on, at least as of right now. It can always change.
Yeah.
Let me just say this right off the bat. So I was at that game. Shout out Taylor from Elm Creek for taking me. That
Hell
was
yeah, Taylor.
such a great time. But the first, for sure, 2 goals, maybe 3 goals were soft as hell. It's like, oh boy, like Gus did not have a good game. And then the Wild seemed to really just be down in the dumps. They did get a couple power play goals, I think.
No,
they didn't.
I don't believe so.
Okay, I was drinking heavily at this game, so my bad. But dude, they just, I don't know. They did not seem to have it. The middle of the ice was wide open. No one was hard on the puck whatsoever. They let Utah just win all the puck battles in the defensive zone. It seemed like it was just no bueno.
They were a deflated balloon going into this game. I felt like the just last couple of notes on this game that I had down. Logan Cooley is proving to be worth his contract extension. He had 2 goals this game. He's having an unreal start to this season again. So if you're a Utah Mammoth fan, I think there's a lot of optimism, especially with the young talent and young core that they're building around. And then Nick Schmaltz, 2 goals as well. So again, the young guys are producing, and I wish that'd be something that we could see more from the Wild. It seems like our young guys don't come in and produce. Now, I think that has a lot to do with line combinations. I think that might be a Hines issue and not putting guys in maybe positions to set them up for success. And then Sarge, you touched base upon this, but Gus Bus got off to a slow start this game. He did rebound.
Yes.
He faced 41 shots this game and made 35 saves. Again, I think this is kind of a point of emphasis, but we got to be able to score goals and we got to get off to a faster start. Which again is going to be a consistent theme as we get into these next 2 games. And a game that I was at, a loss to the Sharks, 6-5 in overtime. Once again, we allowed the first goal. You guys are going to hear me say this one more time. Johansson scored. He got his 4th of the year. Rossi got his 2nd of the year. Hartman his 3rd. And Zeev got his 2nd of the year, along with Eck getting his 2nd of the year as well. Don't know if there's too many takeaways from this game, but let's kind of dive into this. I have a couple more thoughts, especially about overtime. But Veach, what were your thoughts from this particular game?
My thoughts were blank. My feelings were embarrassed. When you've got the Minnesota Wild, a program franchise that had hopes of a 2nd round playoff berth this year, and then you lose to the Sharks of San Jose. It's tough, man. And I get they got a point out of it. They made it into overtime. Good for them. But you lose to Macklin Celebrini, shout out college hockey and the talent that they're producing at a very, very high clip lately. But to lose to him specifically on San Jose, it's brutal. And it was a fun game, I'm sure, to be at, and you can speak more to that as well, because it did go back and forth. Sharks scored 2, Wild scored 2. Sharks get some, the Wild get them back, and then that's how you kind of push it to the OT. But that's not the way you want to play against a team like San Jose. That's somebody
who are not very good.
No,
they're not.
Quite bad, in fact. So as poor as they are, the Wild can't really claim to be much better or any better at this point, because head to head they lost. So congrats on the point, but not the way I want to earn them.
It's not good enough. You got to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat.
Yep.
And this was one of those games. Power play was 50% this game, going 2 of 4, which was nice to see. Again, they're going to continue, I think, to tick. And when I say tick, they're going to perform well on the power play, especially their puck movement. I was really impressed at the Wild moving the puck around the outside and then finding the open guy to take advantage of mismatches or just the open ice and then getting the puck to the net. Unfortunately, our goalie that game was Jesper, and the Great Wall of St. Paul did not have a good game. 19 saves on 25 shots, so was not performing as well as Gus. But I do want to talk about overtime a little bit this game. I had been having maybe a couple of adult soda pops
Barley
during the
pops.
game. The Wild dominated overtime this game, and when I say that, they had it in the Shark zone literally until Celebrini scored the OT winner.
Yep, bad bounce comes out. He's on a break, and it was just a no doubt goal from him. Tough to see, tough spot to put Wallstead in, but it's just an unfortunate reality of hockey sometimes is you get those
Yeah.
breakaways and got to take advantage of them, and Celebrini did.
Yeah, it was crazy. I went back and rewatched the overtime winner, and the rebound. I believe I'm probably going to butcher the goalie for the Sharks' name, but it's Askov, who I believe was a prospect for the Predators, and then they acquired in a trade, if I remember correctly. That rebound was not controlled at all by him. Typically, as a goalie, you're kicking the puck to a corner to control that, to either let the offensive team regain the puck, but in a non-threatening position, and allowing your team to then close the gap on that. But what I noticed here is Brock Faber, who I think is starting to find his groove on this season, unfortunately missed an easy stick lift and taking Celebrini off the puck, and then Celebrini's explosiveness, which has been crazy. He's on a 10-point streak on 4 games. So across he's tearing it up. He's lighting it up. I mean, this is what I think we all thought he would be doing.
Yeah.
But his breakaway speed from Faber, I mean, there was no gas left in the tank for Faber. Like, I unfortunate miss there.
Yeah.
But, typically an easy stick lift, and we just missed that opportunity to keep the puck in the zone and keep on thriving. So, yeah, bummer that we lost that game. Again, the good news is we did get a point, which is great, but this really should have been a two-point game for the Wild.
100%.
All right, should we talk about last night's game? Lost to the Jets 4-3,
Jesus, 3 L's in a row?
overtime 4.
4.
And in this 4th game, guess what, chat? We allowed the first goal once again. Kaprizov got his 6th of the year. Faber got his 1st. Johansson scored again, so nice to see him producing and an uptick of minutes with his 5th of the year. Gus, not a necessarily a great game. 18 stops on 22 shots. Watched this game from my couch last night and was just disappointed to see that we couldn't get 2 points from a division rival. So that could come into play down the stretch. Don't know what your takeaways were, Veach, or if you were able to watch, but would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I said this online last night. It was a 3-4 overtime loss, 3-3 going into it. Of those 3 goals that the Wild scored, 2 of them were own goals from Winnipeg. So that's tough. Tough for me to say it was a deserve it or we should have gotten those points or this, that, or the other thing. With that being said, I do think that the Wild controlled quite a bit of the third period there, and they had a lot of really good chances. Just not a lot of really good scoring chances. It did remind me of college play a little bit, where you've got some uncontrolled rebounds or loose pucks or whatever. There was scrums in front of the net at 3 or 4 different times throughout the night, and 2 of those led to bounces where it was going in for the Wild, and that's great. It's kind of those ugly goals that you want as a college hockey team or coach or whatever, and you don't normally see at the NHL level. So credit to them for getting those ones. They deserved some bounces after what they've been dealing with so far this year. But yeah, it was it was fine until I saw what they did in overtime, and it seemed
Yep.
uncontrolled. It seemed like chaos. You had, I think it was Faber sitting with it behind the net, waiting for somebody
Yeah.
to come open, and
Yep.
just kind of being pestered by whoever was in front of him there for Winnipeg. Ultimately gets it off. Kaprizov finds it after a pass or two in the zone, carries it around the net, and basically lose control of it. It goes down the other way, and then Winnipeg scores immediately for the most part.
Yeah, I think it was 45, 46 seconds is all we got to see of free hockey.
Yeah.
And very, very disappointing loss. But again, we hung in there. Probably to your point, like it wasn't necessarily a 2-point win for us,
Yep.
but we got a point. So overall, from those 4 games, the Wild went 0-2-2 for 2 points. That would have been since our last pod. They are currently right now in the West, 13th out of 16 teams. So not a hot start for the Wild. And then if we're talking about the wild card race, we are 3 points behind your Chicago Blackhawks, Sarge, for the last wild card spot. So some work to do. I think one of the big themes, again, the chat has heard me talk about this, but the starting of the games, allowing the first goal, that's always a deflator, especially on the road. That's never going to do you good. The home team gets that early momentum and then can just capitalize from there. So
Yep.
those are a couple of notes that I had overall from the week. I don't know if you had anything else, or Sarge, if you wanted to chime in on anything additionally.
If you want to brag about the Blackhawks, just do it, man.
I
your
am,
time?
I am fucking excited. I'm excited. I'm not gonna get it too much because this is a wild pod. But yeah, the Hawks they're looking like they might be back, and I couldn't
Okay,
be fucking
pump
happy.
the brakes a little bit.
Yeah,
man.
let's settle down.
Let me fucking have this, guys. It's been like dude,
Define back.
competitive.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I've wanted over the past
right,
8
that's
years.
fair.
When you said back, my mind immediately went to, they're back to a dynasty again. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let's just chill out.
Go on another
Just-
5-year run.
Yeah, just you guys, you are gonna be scared. You're gonna be scared coming up because they got some guys in the AHL. But once again, we're gonna. What I want to hear from you guys is your panic meter. Where are you guys panicking right now?
As a Wild fan, what scale do you want this on? Like 1 to 10?
So, from our little graphic here, we got red, we got orange, we got yellow, and we got green.
And red is good.
I'm assuming.
Red's bad, green's good.
Put me heavily into the orange category, man. I know that
Yeah.
technically you win 2 games and you're at 500 again here. For the Wild, that doesn't seem like that tall of a task. But I look ahead at what they've got, and we'll get into that in just a minute here, and it just seems like it's a mountain staring you in the face, and it's got a mean weather front that you're going to have to climb through in order to get to the top of that, or to get over that. So put me between that orange and red. I'm full on panic mode, adjacent. So 8.5 if I had to put it onto a number there. It seems disjointed. It seems ugly. There's not many things that are working consistently right now. Sometimes you'll get flashes here or there, but that's not going to win you games down the stretch.
No,
for
not at
any
all.
sustained success. So that's why I am where I'm at.
Yeah, I would say just a couple other points. We touched up upon this, but overall, we do have the best power play in the league. So it's nice to see that and that the power play is kicking. The work that's got to be done is on the penalty kill. We can't be dead last.
No.
62.5%.
That's so bad.
Yeah, it's. I don't think I've ever seen that low of a number, ever from looking at statistics. And I think historically the Wild have actually had a top 10 penalty kill in the league. I know it's early. I recognize that, but with that low of a number, that does scare me. The other 2 stats that I had just overall, goals for, the Wild are currently at 20th, which got to put pucks in the back of the net here. Would like to see some more scoring opportunities. I would personally love if we could have an outburst, win a game 5-1, shitbag a team for once. It seems like it's been a while for that. And then goals against. We've allowed the 5th most goals, which we've allowed 43 goals. And I don't even think it's really our goalies. I don't necessarily think that's the issue. Obviously, they have to keep the puck out of the net, but I think it's the system. And I'm going to touch upon this a little bit more because I have a couple of discussion points before we look ahead here. But just with where the Wild are at, I would say overall, same with you, Veach, an 8, maybe a 7. Maybe I'm a little bit more optimistic. Consider me in that kind of orange yellow area of the panic meter. The first discussion topic that I have is, would you consider John Hines on the hot seat?
Ooh.
Hot is
Lukewarm?
It's warm. I would say you'd have to be kind of blind to the situation and circumstances to not see that it's certainly heating up. I don't know that if we're putting it on the stove, it's at a full boil yet. But
Sure.
it's certainly simmering. I would say, if we're cooking a stew, it's going to be about 8 hours that it'll be ready. We're not in the crock pot on the high setting yet. We got the low. It's sitting on a low simmer. I'm trying to make it as Minnesotan as possible here. I think that he is probably aware of it. It's kind of hard to avoid the noise as much as many people want to. But for whatever reason, things aren't working and aren't clicking right now, as I had mentioned before. And that ultimately comes down to the coach. And I don't know if that's going to be something that he's going to be able to turn around as very quickly, I should say. So I hope he's got a little bit of a leash to it, just because he hasn't had a ton of time here.
Agreed.
In Minnesota to get things situated and figure out things that he wants to do specifically. But I would say there's going to be a point if it continues down this same trajectory and path and ratio of wins to losses that it's not going to make it past, we'll just say, the new year.
Yeah, yep, totally agree. I think his seat is kind of like how the weather is transitioning in Minnesota. You're maybe putting your heated seat on low right now.
Got it.
But it's definitely starting to get to the point where maybe high is coming into play.
Yeah.
I think with that too, and one of the points that I hit home is the Wild have given up the first goal in 7 of their 8 losses this year. Who's to blame? Is that coaching? Is that goaltending? Is it systems? Is it defensive breakdowns? What have you seen from watching the Wild this year?
Defensive breakdowns, unfortunately, are
without a doubt
are leading to most of those goals. Like I had mentioned before, Faber has acknowledged that he's trying to and has to be playing better. Bouillon is young, and he's had a couple of unfortunate errors that you don't see out of seasoned players. Bad bounces that we've seen before. I think that I would like to see what their expected goals against and actual goals against is. That's something I didn't look up before this.
Sure.
But I would imagine it's certainly higher on the actual goals against versus expected. On top of just looking disjointed to begin with. So defense breakdowns are certainly what I think the causes are of some of the struggles that they're going through right now.
I agree. I think one of the big aspects is, and I'm not saying that this is the root of the Wild's maybe early season kind of flounder to start the year. I do wonder if a system change is needed in the defensive zone.
Sure.
That's just my perspective, and coming from a hockey background and with me being an assistant coach, I see some opportunities there for the Wild to condense and keep things outside of what we would call the danger zone.
Yeah.
It seems like pucks very easily find their way to net front, and that
without a doubt, Johns.
that's what scares me, and I would like to see us collapse a little bit earlier. Goalies in the NHL should be saving pucks from the blue line. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to save every single one, especially when you're going up against Cale Makar and some of those elite defensemen. But I would like to see us collapse a little bit earlier in the D zone. That was one takeaway that I had. And then I just had 2 other talking points here, just as we're kind of, before we even get into previewing kind of the upcoming Wild schedule. I wanted to know how big of a loss Mats Zuccarello is for this Minnesota Wild team?
Zuki is the lifeblood to whatever line he's on, and that's always going to be the Kaprizov line as long as Kaprizov is here and they're here together, I should say.
Yeah.
That's not to say that Kaprizov has struggled necessarily to produce, but I don't think that he is playing to his full potential
Agreed.
without that familiarity on the same line playing with him. So, yeah, Zuccarello just brings a different vibe to the locker room and a more fun and relaxed atmosphere, it seems. I obviously haven't had any conversations with him personally, but all of the interviews I've seen, all of the videos I've seen, everything that kind of goes into the picture that the Wild paints of their organization, he's a big part of what goes on in the locker room, in addition to on the ice. So it's good to see him skating out there. I know he's taking part in the voluntary practices right now. Hopefully, I don't want to say he looks like he's trending ahead of schedule, but that's a possibility at this point because we've seen it in the past where guys are certainly not meeting the schedule or expected deadlines. Just look at last year and how long some of the guys were out. But yeah, I would say that is a big piece as to why some things might feel a little bit disjointed. And I don't want to say that's going to be a certain fix, but once you get some regularity on the lines there and some stability from night in and night out, that can go a long way as well. So I think that will certainly help. I'll say it won't hurt having him back.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think he's almost like when he does come back, it's almost like addition by not necessarily subtraction, but some of these guys that are playing increased minutes, Johansson, some of even our love them to death, Foligno's and some of those typical third line, fourth line guys that are seeing increased minutes or even playing on special teams. I just think we need him back. So I would say the season is absolutely not over. I don't want Wild fans to panic by any means, but give Zucky some time to get back, see what that on ice product has and see how they gel back together.
Yeah.
I also think the loss of him potentially in the locker room and not being around there, maybe, and I don't know this, but maybe he's a huge locker room presence too, and just building up the guys, because the last talking point that I kind of had, and it kind of ties into what Veach, you were saying, is 97. So everyone's favorite player on the Wild. So much fun to watch. I mean, he's a game breaker. But one thing that I noticed in doing some research, and thank you, Money Puck, for putting this analysis together. But Krill right now has the 15th highest amount of turnovers in the league.
Whoa.
And something seemed just off with specifically our offensive zone breakouts. I don't know if it's because he doesn't trust who's playing with him or what's going on there, but it seems like pucks are bouncing off his stick at a higher rate than I've ever seen in the past. And so I just thought that was an interesting statistic. I don't know if you have any talking points around that or any thoughts, but just thought that was super interesting.
Yeah, it goes right into the game that we watched last night and what he was doing in overtime. He's just trying to do it all himself at times. And when he's not doing it all himself, he's trying to figure out how other people around him are playing, because it's not Zuki. It's not the guy who he's been with since he got here, basically, and started playing for the Wild. And the as trivial as it sounds to have one guy swap out for another, a pass coming at you from one guy knowing where to put it, how far in front of
Place
you
of
when
attack.
you're in full stride.
Yep, 100%.
Exactly. Or speed at which somebody passes, or the tendency where their release is from. All of that seems like really minute and small details, but when you're so accustomed to one guy doing that for so long for you on one line, it can make a big difference. So I think that that's certainly playing into the numbers that you've got there for Kirill. And I don't want to say too much about his play, because he's got, what is he, top 12 in the league for points right now still? He's up there.
That
regardless of
sounds
what the number
right.
is.
I was looking at the statistics, and he's right up there, just a couple of points outside the top 10, I think.
Yeah. And so he is producing, but I think you're seeing some of those other ancillary numbers become a question mark right now.
Yep.
And I don't think they'll be question marks for very long. So he's just got to find his path right now in the Wild organization, shut out some of the
He's
noise.
tied for eighth.
Eighth,
There we
so
go.
top 10.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, you shut out some of the noise there. You get Zuki back in however long it's going to be, a couple weeks. And that's one I don't want to rush because
Yeah,
I would much
agreed.
rather sacrifice a bad start or prolong a bad start to have a much better finish. But yeah, I think it'll turn around once we get some more consistency from line to line.
Yeah, I think the last point that I'll touch upon, and we can transition to the preview of the upcoming games or the next 3 games here, is Zuccarello and Kaprizov. When they're together, it's like the Cavender twins. They're hot.
I'm married. I trust you.
I'm also married. I hope my wife's not watching this. I didn't say that. That was AI.
You're not wrong.
That was Sora
Sarge
generating
wrote
this
for
video.
us. These are his
Yeah,
notes.
this is his script. So I think we can transition and kind of preview the next couple of games here before we get into some college hockey. Upcoming 3 games. We got the Penguins, who are currently 7-2-2. We got the Canucks 5-6-0, and we got the Preds 4-5-2. So I'll open up the discussion. Sarge, would love you to chime in too, because I mean you're a big hockey guy. But just thoughts on kind of these next 3 games. What do you expect from the team? And maybe just quickly, I mean, like wins, losses. Like, what do you expect us to go in those next 3 games?
Pittsburgh, for those that don't know, they are currently tied for the most points in hockey. There are probably 6 or 7 teams that are tied at the same. I think they're all at 16 right now. But to say that they are overproducing for what they expected at this point in the season would be an understatement.
Yeah.
But with that being said, they're hot. We're not. I don't have very high hopes for the Wild in that game, specifically because of 2 guys who everybody on the planet that follows hockey is going to be familiar with, and that's Malkin and Crosby. And they're both also in the top 10 of scoring this year, which is insane. It's 2025, and we've got Malkin and Crosby.
They're
in the top 10.
unreal, dude.
Yeah,
They really are.
it's crazy. I know that we've talked about Ovechkin on this program before, and his propensity for scoring, maybe being the most prolific goal scorer itself ever, and you still have to consider Crosby and Malkin up there as well. They just keep doing the damn thing, and it's hard to overstate how difficult it is to stop them when you're playing them, even at their advanced age. I have that in quotes because, man, do I feel old, and I'm not far behind.
Yeah, I know.
I think what is so interesting to me and just what I find fascinating. So I am not a Sidney Crosby lover. I've always been on the side of Ovi. I like the flair that he brings, a little bit more of the personality. Crosby, I think, is very much your stereotypical hockey player. It's all about team. It's all about team success. I don't know if either of you guys have watched the Amazon series. Is it Face Off? I might be butchering the name. But
Yeah, I think so.
the cool thing about Crosby is if you have seen the episode where they were talking to him, when he works out, he has all the past Stanley Cup winners and a photo of them with the cup in the gym that he works out in. You can't hate the guy for that, to find that motivation and to see him come out and with the start that the Penguins have, the start that him and Malkin have, it's can't knock him. I absolutely cannot not knock him.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's like, for a guy that's had the success over a career that he has had, to continue to find new ways or continued ways to motivate yourself is impressive. It speaks a lot to his character. Yes, you can go through all of the highlights, lowlights, whatever you want to refer to him as, through his career and say what you want about how he's approached the game. But I think any hockey fan still has to respect his ability
100%.
To produce on the ice, his ability to bring up players around him, and all the stuff that he's done for the youth game in Pittsburgh and other places as well. is incredible. The older I've gotten, the more I have respected Crosby, which is kind of crazy to think
Yep,
about.
same here.
But yeah, it's somebody who I think the Wild are going to have to find an answer for, and I don't currently see one.
Yeah, that game against the Penguins, he's for sure going to get at least a point that game. That's what scares me is if he gets 2 points, the Penguins are winning this game. Like I almost think that we have to hold Crosby to 1 point or less in order to get a win that game. That's going to be a tough one. I don't know who will be in goal for the Penguins. It's been interesting. They've been rotating. I believe it's Silvos and Jari, if I'm saying their names correctly. And both have actually been off to pretty decent starts. So that'll be a very interesting game. That's our next one up. Any other thoughts on the Penguins game before we jump into the Canucks?
Nothing for me. Sarge, you got
No, Crosby, Malkin, still good.
Yep, it's crazy. These guys have been just doing it for so long, and they're still so good. Would easily take them on any team in the NHL.
Oh, come on. Duh. Duh.
Let's talk about the Canucks game. I believe this one's on Saturday, if I remember correctly. And looking at
This is a must-win.
November 1st, yeah.
Yeah, this is a big game. The Canucks, I don't know what to think of this team personally. I know that they had their issues last year with JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. That has since been hopefully squashed for that team. But Elias Pettersson may not be all he was thought out to be. Maybe he had one good season. I really don't know too much about the Canucks other than that. I know they have some other talent there with Besser. I think they still have Thatcher Demko. I believe former North Dakota Fighting Hawk goalie.
Are you asking me?
You should know, dude. No, I have no
Yeah.
idea.
I think my college hockey knowledge is a little shaky, so the chat can correct me on that. But I did see today the Canucks have a bunch of guys that are hurt. Connor Garland being one of them who has just produced at always just a steady rate. I agree that this is a must-win game, and I'll touch base upon when we talk about wins and losses. But any thoughts on the Canucks? Are you scared of them? Is this a must-win game for us? Thoughts going into that game?
Yeah, Canucks 5-6-0. I have this written down as the Wild's best shot for a win in the next three, which is crazy with Nashville behind them.
Yep.
But I do see it that way as well. The only thing that scares me, or I should say the three things that scare me, are the teams that the Canucks have beat so far this year. And there's more of them, but the three that matter to me: Stars, Caps, and Oilers.
Those are decent teams.
Must be nice to get wins against franchises
The big
like
boys.
that. Yeah.
Quality opponents.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you're able to get wins like that, then there's no reason that you wouldn't be able to get wins against a team that's struggling like the Wild right now. So I do think that the Wild can pull it out there. Maybe they go tap into the Besser news, and it's the one that got away, and do whatever you have to get that mentality to fight a little bit. But yeah, I think that is a couple of points. I'll say 2 minimum in that game against Vancouver.
Okay. I'll label that game as a must-win game for the Wild.
It is.
And I think this will tie into a point once we kind of just recap the next 3 games and just kind of just say our win-loss predictions. I'll touch base upon that. But then the next game up is the Preds. They're 4-5-2. They are also off to a very slow start. They spent all that money last year on free agents, including Steven Stamkos, who I believe this year only has a whopping 2 points. I believe he has 1 goal and 1 assist. So it looks like Steven Stamkos is on the downward of his trajectory. Nashville has a lot of money tied to him. Jonathan Marchessault, and who's the other guy they sent? Brady Shea. Predators game also must win.
Yes.
I think we have to go 2-3 in these next 3 games, but I'll give my prediction here in a second. Predators, they do not scare me whatsoever. I think that this is a very easy win on paper. However, you have to play the game. You cannot just rely on matchups. Veach, Sarge, any thoughts, comments about the Predators matchup?
We are in lockstep because the things that I have written down are this team remains a mystery to me.
Yeah.
And I've gotten the names that you mentioned below. I've got Stamkos. I've actually got O'Reilly written down here.
Yeah, oh,
as,
yeah,
as
yep.
the other wild card to figure out there, and then Marchessault as well. They don't have a single player in the top 50 in points right now.
Insane.
So they
That is
spend all that
crazy.
money, and they've got some really recognizable talent on their team, and they're just not working for whatever reason. So yeah, if the Wild can get another win here, it's going to be this one. I hope that they can, but those names in particular are why I said that I think they've got a better shot against Vancouver to get a win versus this one, just because if they do pop off for whatever reason, that game
Would be the
could get
time to
ugly
do
as
it.
well. So
Yeah.
I think that we're coming away with another at least 2 points there.
'Kay.
And maybe I'm just getting bullied into the thoughts of overtime over and over and over again.
Seems to be our MO.
But I'm going to say of the next 3 games here, Wild coming away 5 points.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sarge, go ahead.
I'm actually on the same thing. I think the Wild are gonna start saying we're fucking done with this bullshit, and really start to buckle down, grip the stick, and make some plays. I feel like against the Penguins they're gonna score the first goal. I don't know why. They're just so due. They're so due. Like you can't just keep going down every single game. That's just not sustainable. And I think they're gonna do it. I feel pretty good, actually. I think typically the Wild start super hot and then just start floundering around Christmas. It seems to happen every single year. It's the opposite of the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs usually start slow, and then Christmas comes. It's like, oh, yeah, never mind, let's go. So I think they're going to turn it around here, boys.
All right, so we're sensing some optimism. I'm going to come in and knock that optimism off the rails. The Wild are going to go 0-2-1. They will lose all 3 of these games. They will get 1 overtime point. A loss against the Penguins in regulation. I believe that they will lose to the Canucks in regulation, and they will go to overtime against the Predators and lose. I am not feeling optimistic, and I will touch base upon that for my Wild takes once we get to that portion of the show. I think with that, anything else that we want to touch base upon for upcoming games before we talk about some college puck?
That's it for me. I've only got the 3 games written down, so I'd be winging it if I said I had anything additional.
I love this comment. Stanley Steamer 12. Fire Hines, hire DeBoer.
DeBoer, really?
I saw that going around on X today. I don't know.
Here's my thing with the NHL, and this is the thing with the NFL as well, and honestly throw the NBA in there, just professional sports. The coaching carousel is something that I will never understand. We want to hire a guy who has been fired multiple other spots for what purpose? Like, do we have there can be arguments for it, and I'll listen to them.
Sure.
If we have tools that this guy has succeeded with in the past, and it's a proven commodity, and there's familiarity for whatever reason, you can make an argument. But if we're just hiring people based off of names, I think that is the most foolish way to go about anything. You have to find a right fit for what you've got, because Da Vinci was a hell of a painter, allegedly. I don't know that he'd be a good mechanic. Maybe he would. I mean, he had all those inventions to figure it out, but like right off the bat, he'd need to figure it out. So yeah, I don't know. The names that continue to get thrown around over and over and over again, I scoff at them a little bit, but I'll listen to the arguments.
I'll say one more comment on this to your point about the coaching carousel. If the NHL has a sustainability program, they would be great at reducing, reusing, and recycling. That's all I got. It's interesting to see that there's no young upcoming coaches coming up in the league. I think we can transition over to college talk.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sarge, how much time do we got here
What?
in terms of when we got to be on, off?
No, we got plenty of time.
Oh God, okay.
Yeah.
There's no limit. No limit.
Veach, you're the college hockey expert, so I'm going to turn this over to you.
Sure.
The only thing that I have is something we chanted about earlier, is that UMD is the best team in Minnesota.
Currently, right now, I don't know that there's an argument to be had for a different team. UMD is tied for the best record in college hockey, technically. Miami is undefeated. They're 6-0-0. but their strength of schedule is so far below what UMD
Yeah.
has gone through, and some of these other schools even have a harder strength of schedule than UMD on top of that. But UMD 7-1 currently, coming off of a sweep against in-state rival and just rival in general, Minnesota. Felt good both games. They get a 3-0 win on the Friday night game, and
Hell
then
yeah.
a 4-1 win on Saturday as well. The top line looked good. Plant Shagabe. I think it is tied or 1 point behind for the most productive point scoring
They're so good.
line in the country. Obviously, Penn State's up there, but their strength of schedule is absolutely dog water as well. They're getting scared by the likes of Stonehill and
saw that.
LIU and some of these other schools who they should be beating handily on paper and just aren't. So they are finding ways to win. Credit to them for that. But their Big Ten tournament or Big Ten life cycle starts this weekend. I don't know if they play on Thursday or if they have to wait till Friday. I know Minnesota plays Thursday, which is tomorrow. Any other thoughts on the UMD sweep of Minnesota there? Nice to see Guyon finally get a
Yes.
shutout on
Yes.
Friday. I think he deserved probably at least one other one, probably two other ones in some of the other series that UMD has played. And it's just a goal squeaks in the last, 3 minutes or
Yep.
something silly like that. So really, really happy to see him get that. I think he's goaltender of the week in the NCHC with like a 978 or something ridiculous save percentage. And a big reason for their success right now, in addition to that top line. And neither of those two things had that to say last year. Any bragging you two want to do on top of that?
Yeah, we're all dogs. We're all UMD
Go Dogs.
proud UMD Bulldogs. Dude, this was so refreshing. I've been worried about this team for a really long time. It seemed after about 2018, it's been dark days. Or it could be not 2018.
2018 and 19 they won.
Yeah,
2020 they would have three-peated. But
That's
still
true.
A
lost
blur
the
for
thing.
Sarge.
2021, I think they were one game away from making it to the Frozen Four, and that was when they lost to Denver off of a ricochet behind the net. Hit
It
fans
seems like a
in the
long
back.
time, okay? Because we're used to success, and I love that. And I don't know. I was worried about NIL. I talked to shout out Andy Walensky.
Yeah.
He was very worried about the NIL stuff, but when you can get the homegrown Hermantown boys and those Northern boys, anything can happen. It was just so refreshing. And fuck the Gophers.
Yeah, I think. There's multiple different routes we could go with this, but Scott Sandlin, he's still there. He is the best coach in college hockey. Might be biased.
If he's not the best, he's top 5 without an argument from anybody.
Yeah,
Correct.
I loved his comments, and I think they were earlier. I think they were in the off season, just talking a little bit about NIL, just all the changes with college hockey that are ongoing.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, very high level and kind of paraphrasing what he said, but he said that he wants kids that want to play hockey to be there, and that they aren't coming to Duluth for NIL. I think that can build team chemistry, and I think that's what you're seeing with the Bulldogs. Unlike Sarge, I was never worried. I knew we were going to have some days where we were maybe not as good as we had used to be, but what has me excited is that this team is gelling. They're performing. Sarge said it earlier in the show. Typically, at the beginning of the seasons, they're like a 500 team. They're not. They're coming out hot. Big series against UND this weekend. Huge. Can't remember. Does anyone know off the top of your, is it there?
Yeah,
Here?
North Dakota. I don't know that. I think it's at North Dakota. though.
Okay.
It is at North Dakota.
So
yes.
that'd be huge, even if we get a split series.
Yep.
I would love to split with UND. They actually don't scare me. I actually have them as a note here,
Take
and
it
we
back.
can talk about that. They don't scare me. I'm not scared of them, especially if they come out in those fucking black uniforms. What do they call them? Their business attire?
suits.
Pussies. Get out of here, North Dakota. Fuck you, boss man. But that's what I got on Bulldogs. They're hot right now, and it's been super fun to see them back having success that they had, back in kind of the mid 2015s, and late 2020s.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor the points here very much, but I do want to touch on a couple of things that you guys talked
Yeah.
about. The down years for UMD the past 3 seasons, I think the entire fan base and coaching staff and everybody is, openly acknowledging those ones.
Yep.
Yes, you're going to have some tough times after some significantly better seasons. You can't expect to be a Frozen Four team every single year over
Nope.
year. Nobody really does that. The one thing that I will say as a contributing factor to that is last year I think they had 12, it might have been 13 freshmen on the team. They were always going to be young. Max Plant, who is a difference maker, as you saw at the end of last year, but also the start of this year, missed a significant amount of time with an upper body injury to basically start the season last year. And it was just a lot of growing pains. They had some
Yep.
goalie situations that were trying to get figured out. They were switching between, and there was a lack of consistency. So you go back before that, and you talk about some guys like Isaac Howard leaving, or Ben Steves leaving early, or some of the
Yeah,
other
big
transfers.
losses.
Like those are big losses for a program that expected those guys to be sticking around and being a big part of what they were building there. And it's something that you really don't appreciate from a coach's perspective in terms of how difficult it is in today's day and age to keep those guys around a admittedly smaller program that doesn't
Yep.
have the same funding that a Big Ten school does, or a private university does like Denver, or any of those other programs that are perennial powerhouses. So I have been obviously a little bit disappointed over the past 3 seasons, but knowing that there was some more change and positivity around the corner, and
Yeah.
understanding why that had happened when it did. The other point I wanted to touch on is what you had mentioned there about the homegrown kids, and that being a massive contributing factor to UMD's success that other smaller programs in this era just don't have the advantage of, or aren't taking advantage of. And that's the Plant brothers. Obviously, when you're blood related, you're going to grow up playing together for the most part. There are some exceptions to the rule there, but they know where each other are on the
Yep.
ice at all times. Shagabe has played against and or with them, depending on which select team that you're talking about, for a very long time as well. They've been aware of each other and
Yep.
growing up for, God knows how long. UMD, I think, of their 5 captains and alternates, has 4 of them from Hermantown. You've got Ty Hansen, and you've got all of these other guys that have been contributing to the growth of Hermantown, Duluth, and UMD hockey as a whole. All kind of coming together there, and it's very, very nice to see. And that's not to say that that's all that they do. And Sandelin has been forced into tapping into the transfer portal, and he hasn't gone out and gotten the top scorers. He hasn't gone out and gotten the quote unquote best guys that are putting up stats. In fact, one of the guys he brought in, I don't think has scored a goal yet, but he's getting the leaders from teams like a UMass Lowell or Cornell,
Yep.
or those gritty schools that you think about and that are always kind of competitive and find ways to win because of guys like that. And so it's a culture that you bring in to UMD, who has a good, strong, tight-knit locker room to begin with, and it's only going to help things. So I think that's a big reason as to why they're seeing the success that they have right now. So I will quit glazing UMD. I will, stop talking about them until we get into the previews for next week. I'm going to race through rapid speed here. 3 other, big games or big series from last week. All 3 were splits, and then just get your, immediate or jump reaction to them. So Michigan, Western Michigan, they had a split. I think each one of them ended up winning at home. Michigan, I believe theirs was a shutout win. Western Michigan came back and didn't have a shutout win, but it was convincing. Each of them won convincingly in their own barn. I think, those are both top 3 teams last week and still this week. Why they switched in the rankings, I don't know. Second,
Makes no sense.
it doesn't make any sense to me. They split wins and then switched in the rankings, so whatever. Clarkson and North Dakota surprisingly split. Going into the series, Clarkson was 1-3.
No way.
Yeah, and so they come out of there 2-4 against a North Dakota team, which that split, I should say, dropped North Dakota from. Oh, nope, just kidding. They stayed at 8. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
So you can see a little bit of the bias that goes into the rankings there. Do I think that North Dakota deserved to drop much? No. I think that it was a well-coached and hard-fought team. Clarkson's other games this season have all been relatively close. And it's just a mystery as to which guys are going to show up and produce for them. And North Dakota is still trying to figure out who's going to score for them on a routine basis. So that's the biggest thing for them. And then the last one, UConn and BU, both of them, they played each other. They split, and all UConn does is split. Why they are, ranked in the top 10 without a season sweep. They've only played 6 games, 3 series. But I don't know. They're still a mystery. I think they're leaning heavily on some of the momentum that they got last year, which is all well and good, totally fine. But it's somebody that I would say I haven't gotten a full impressive game from yet.
Sure.
Thoughts on any of those 3 that you guys want to touch on?
Yeah, well, to kind of touch upon some of the games, I was kind of looking at scores from this past weekend, and there were 4 top 10 teams that were upset.
Yep.
This past week.
And they're almost all on those Thursday or Friday games. The first game of the series is when you're seeing those upsets.
And so my question to you is, not an overall college hockey. I mean, I know the Bulldogs, but that's kind of my limit of my knowledge. But like, what's going on with the parity in college hockey? Like, I'm interested in your take. Does it have to do with when they're playing the Thursday games? Are teams not prepared for that? Or are you noticing anything from your purview that's contributing to the success of some of these lower ranked teams?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the CHL kind of availability and
Sure.
coming in here. I think hockey as a whole at the college level has gotten better this year. I think every single team, it would be hard to find a team that got worse this year with that opening up. What I will say is, and I think I mentioned this before, I don't know if it was on here or somewhere else, is that those top tier teams might have gotten 5 or 10% better because they're already,
Sure.
going to be really, really, really good every single year. But those, bottom, we'll just say 20, 25 teams have gotten markedly better. They're probably 30% better because of the skill that they're finding, because they can, give out some of these scholarships and bring in some of the guys that they didn't previously have access to, or guys that wanted to come before and weren't able. So those teams are much more competitive, and that's why you're seeing so many more of these upsets. And I want to talk very, very quickly. When we're talking about, a ranked team that's 18, that's upsetting somebody at 8 or 10 or whatever it
Yeah.
is, those aren't really upsets to me. Those teams are so close in talent level anyway that it's almost a toss-up to begin with. I think there are exceptions to that, but when we're talking upsets, I'm talking, somebody that's expected to finish, below 40 in the NPI now, not pairwise anymore. That beats a top 10 team. Those are those massive upsets that we're talking about, and those are still happening. I think we've got probably as many now as we got all of last year combined. So it's been very, very fun to watch, but I think it has a lot to do with the opening of the border, if you will, to allow the Canadian kids to come on down and play, in addition to the removal of that 5th-year option for guys to stick around and just continue to produce for the team that they've been on for so long.
Yeah, the parity's been fun to watch.
Yeah.
I like seeing that college hockey is kind of on the rise, just with these teams that maybe are just look at St. Thomas and what that program's building.
Yep.
Seriously.
And some of these other schools, it's just kind of amazing to me, because back in the day it was always kind of like UMD, UND, the Gophers, Denver, Boston College, maybe BU in there.
Mm-hmm.
And now you don't necessarily expect to sweep every series. So it's fun to watch. Veach, I know you said you maybe wanted to preview some of the upcoming games for this week. So why don't you go ahead and touch base upon that? I have a couple highlighted here, but I'm sure you're going to touch base upon them.
Okay. Before we do that, I want to go through just the overall top 20 rankings here. I'm going to go lightning speed, and then I'm going to go through the tiers that we've got. And maybe I'll just go through the tiers to start with. 1, 2, and 3, Michigan State, Michigan, Western Michigan. These are all the USCHO rankings. If you look at USA or US Hockey, that's your prerogative, whatever. This is the one I use. And when NPI comes out as being useful, we can go and touch on that as well. But those are the three. That's obviously the Michigan tier.
Yep.
There's a lot of discourse online right now about Michigan being the state of hockey or whatever. What I'll say to that is, where are your women's teams? Where are your producers coming from? Minnesota still produces more hockey players at the college level than any other state, and it's not particularly close. So enjoy it while you can. I think those three teams deserve being in the top three right now, but that's your Michigan tier. Below that, you've got 4 through 7. Penn State, BU, Denver, and QPAC.
Yep.
Those are all the teams that I have got in a tighten up tier. Like they've all got some really good wins. They've all had some pretty bad scares in terms of the teams that they've played and or lost to.
Yeah.
If they want to be considered as one of those, contenders for a title before we get into the later parts of the season, they've got to tighten up. And I don't see it any other way. If they continue to have some of those head scratching losses, it's going to be a long road for them to maintain the ranking that they've currently got there. Below that, North Dakota, Yukon, and I've got UMD in here as well, sadly. They're overachieving right now. Based on what the expectations were coming into
Agreed.
the season, all three of those teams are in the top 10, barely, if you will, and they are probably not expected to maintain that position throughout the rest of the season. Not saying they can't, not saying they can't
Sure.
climb higher, but where they were expected to be at this point in the season, they're overachieving right now. Below that, you've got BC, Maine, and UMass. Those are the Hockey East bubble. One of those teams is going to be the last one to make it into the college hockey playoffs. From that pool there, I don't know that they're going to have an argument to have more than 3 teams make it
Sure.
into the postseason, and then ahead of them you've obviously got your BU and UConn, and so one of those other ones is going to be that last third team to make it in, just based on their non-conference win percentage right now, or the schedule that they've got. So could a fourth one sneak in? Sure, it's going to have to come from winning Hockey East and being outside of the actual ranked teams, and that goes into a whole different thing. But that's where I've got my Hockey East bubble right now.
Okay.
And then below that, we've got the biggest tier. That's Wisco, CC, Providence, Ohio State, and I've got Minnesota State in here as well.
Yep.
And those are all not the Hockey East bubble. Those are all tournament bubble already. Those are going to be the teams that are fighting for that last spot. Some of them are going to get eliminated because you've got those conference winners. Some of them are going to make it in because they win their conference. And then, you've got one of them that's probably just going to make it based on merit alone. So yet to be seen kind of how that shakes out. And then 19 and 20. They don't belong there. And right now that's Minnesota and Cornell. Minnesota has 2 wins on the season right now,
Ick.
and you've got a Miami hockey team that's undefeated on the outside. I think that is absolutely insane, regardless of opponents. We just got done talking about the parity in college hockey right now and how hard it is to get wins, regardless of who you're playing against there. Penn State would have no choice but to back them up based on the last couple of wins
Yep.
that they've got there. So I think it's a little bit of an injustice to seed Miami outside of the top 20 there. And then Cornell is something that's always bothered me about the Ivy League schools in general. They haven't played a game yet.
Yep.
0 games. So that will change after this weekend.
Okay.
But
Sarge's floored by that.
yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah, they don't start until November for the most part. I mean, it's late October, but it's crazy. And I shouldn't say that for all of the ECAC. I specifically say the Ivy Leagues, because you've got your Quinnipiac, you've got some of the other programs in that conference who are playing and getting the majority of that conference's non-conference schedule and win percentage for the rest of them. But yeah, it always bothers me seeing Cornell ranked
I thought the same thing when I was looking at this.
especially highly going into the season. And that's not to say that they can't be in the preseason rankings, but
Yep,
once
agreed.
you've got 30 teams that have played games, you have to drop them out.
That's
in
what
my
I
opinion.
thought.
Or you put an asterisk next to them, or you put 21 teams in there, because it's crazy that the expectation for them to be up there is still so high when we've got some of these other teams who have already proven it at this point. Do I think Cornell finishes in the top 20? Yeah, probably. Does that mean I would rank them there? Maybe. Do I think that it's still stupid? Yes,
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, that's what I've got as far as the tiers go. Anything that you think I screwed up there, or that you would like to see changed, or you have an argument about?
No, the point of emphasis is the Cornell being in the top 20.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple other teams that you could argue could be that 20th team.
Yep.
Maybe even 19th ahead of the Gophers. Northeastern,
Yep.
Miami, St. Cloud State, I think they're all right there. I'm not saying that Cornell, they're typically a sound team. Agree that they'll probably be in the tournament, but it's just college hockey is weird like that.
Cornell had a great season. They finished off very strong last year, and they always kind of seem to go through the same rigmarole here. They had a couple of head-scratching losses to start the season,
Yep.
and they dropped out. So I don't necessarily think that is going to happen right now. But their first game, we're getting into some of the previews here,
Yeah.
is against UMass. So, like, there's a strong possibility that they lose outright here, and they're out of the top 20
Yep.
anyway. So I don't see a reason or an argument why you wouldn't be able to just drop them out for now, give Miami their flowers while they can get them. Say congratulations, it's been a long time coming. Get some life back into the program there, and then put Cornell back in there when they've earned something.
100%.
But that's just me. Previews ready for them?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay. The first one I've got written here, and it's not because it's my preference, it's just because it's the first one that I saw is happening before others. Minnesota at Wisconsin. I think
sir.
they're doing a Thursday, Saturday games. I don't know if that's strictly because volleyball is in the middle there, and that's in part of the season where they've got playoffs going on, or what the deal is. All I know is there's an unnatural split, if you will, between when those games are being played. That's at the Kohl Center in Wisconsin. Obviously, rivalry game. Minnesota being 19, Wisconsin being 14 in the country. Thoughts on that series?
It's going to be a fun series to watch. I mean, the Gophers and Wisconsin have always had a good rivalry. I will say the little that I know about both of these teams is I believe Minnesota is fairly young overall.
Yes.
I believe Wisconsin does a pretty good job of keeping guys and not having turnover. They're a little bit older, so I'm expecting a Wisconsin. I don't know if I want to say a sweep, but I kind of lean that way because I don't like the Gophers at all in any sport. So we'll go Wisconsin sweeps Gophers this week.
I've got a split there.
Okay.
That's largely because I just think that Minnesota team has too much talent, and their backs are against the wall right now. I haven't been overly impressed with what I've seen out of Wisconsin yet. Obviously, they had I think it was a double overtime tie split, if you will, against Minnesota State, who's at the bottom of the top 20 there for I think all of the weeks that the rankings have existed here. So they're kind of in prove-it territory as well. They need some impressive wins in order to gain some more national attention there. I think Minnesota needs some wins to kind of gain some more confidence in the locker room. I know they've got some injuries or illness, if you will, going around the locker room, but that's what I've got for that series. Next one, UMD and North Dakota. UMD coming in at 10. I had already said that's probably too big of a jump for UMD, but based on everybody that's below them and the record they've got, the committee's hands were kind of tied there in terms of putting them there. And I am not mad at it. I would just say I didn't expect it. You don't often see an 8-spot jump.
That is a big jump.
The fourth week of the rankings coming out, fifth week if you want to count the preseason there. So it was a bit of a surprise to me to see it there. Regardless, it's qualified as a top 10 matchup.
Yep.
North Dakota obviously is one of UMD's biggest rivals, if not their biggest rival, depending on who you ask. I think some animosity and grudge matches and one very long game from the last couple of years probably play into that quite a bit. But it's going to be insane in that barn for anybody that can make it. I think North Dakota, to their credit, packs out their home barn or just away barns in general better than anybody in college hockey. So it'll be fun for UMD to go out there and play that series. I know that they played the first one at home last year and ended up getting swept. So hopefully that they can mimic what they did against the Gophers and get some retribution and get a sweep against North Dakota. But I've got that one in a split as well.
Yep. Same here.
Same.
Here. I bet there'll be an overtime game in that series.
Agreed. I think there's going to be a very strong emphasis on the first line of
Yep.
UMD and shutting that down. And so you're going to have to see a Scout Truman or a Cal Arnott or maybe Ty Hansen from the blue line. Somebody else, the secondary scoring is going to need to produce there. And North Dakota is certainly going to play whatever their bigger, more physical lines are to stop that top line of UMD.
It'll be fun hockey, regardless.
100%. Next one here, I've got 4 of them, but we're going to rifle through these next ones. Penn State, Ohio State. I just have to mention it because Penn State's 4, and Ohio State is still a shocking 17th in the country right now. I think they flew under the radar for a long bit last year, and they were right around this area throughout the entirety of the season. They had a really good penalty kill, good goaltending, good defense in general. I don't think that much has changed there on that front. They don't have a big name that's going to blow you away from a scoring standpoint or offensive production standpoint, but they're just a solid squad all around, and it's going to be Penn State's first test against what I would consider a really quality opponent. We thought Arizona State might have been in their opening series of the season, but Arizona State has since fallen off quite a bit and out of the rankings. So the expectation for what they had has gone significantly downhill. So based on teams that have proven, where they're at right now, I think this is going to be their first taste of a challenge, if you will.
Yeah. Does Penn State have a big name on their team?
Nah, none that come to mind. Like $700,000 for a -2 rating through 6 games. I don't know. Yeah, Charlie Serrato. I think that's the big name you're thinking of, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly who came to mind.
McKenna's going to be drafted #1 overall. I think the hype around him is deserved for the production that we've seen so far. He's a young kid, obviously that plays into quite a bit of the struggles that he's seen so far this year at the college level. The bigger guys are playing him with physicality, and that's been a struggle for him to kind of figure out. Because he's used to just kind of dancing around or through some of the defenses before, and he's not able to replicate that. But when he's in space, he's got the hands, he's got the shot. There's not much that needs to be said about Gavin McKenna on top of that. Past that, we didn't mention St. Thomas opened their brand new arena this past weekend.
Sick rink.
It is very, very cool. They are doing a home and home against Minnesota State here, so I don't know how often you're going to see in conference home and home series like that. But part of me thinks that Minnesota State had requested that or asked for it just to be one of the first teams to play in the barn there. And
Sure.
that could be just me being an idiot and not realizing that they did it last year and they have to redo it this year or something silly because I didn't look back at that. But it's a 18th ranked and a team that's receiving votes in St. Thomas there. I think it's going to be one of those two coming out as the top team from the CCHA this year. St. Thomas's last year in the CCHA. So quite a few storylines going into this game. Any thoughts on that?
I am going to predict an upset sweep by St. Thomas.
Ooh, I like it, John.
I am impressed with how that program has been built.
Yep.
I believe that program has bought into what the coaching staff is preaching. That's not to say that Minnesota State is a bad team, but I am just expecting them to come out guns blazing. So I see a sweep by St. Thomas. I think they're going to have a little extra motivation playing a larger Minnesota school.
Sure. I've got a split here, and I feel like just a broken record saying split over and over and over again. I know that's the coward's way out for college hockey picks because that does tend to be the most common outcome unless it's a certain sweep from one way or the other. I would think that the Alex Tracy factor is playing a big factor into my reasoning there.
Sure.
I think St. Thomas has struggled to close out games to this point in the season. I don't necessarily know that that's going to be a permanent problem. Maybe they can figure out a way to do it if they get a lead, but it has certainly been a factor to this point for them. And when Minnesota State has a lead or gains momentum, tough program to stop. I know that they've had some turnover in players and coaches and whatnot in the last couple of years, but their identity has still remains pretty stout in a really good goaltender, physical play and just kind of a relentless attack when they've got the need to do so. The last two, we already mentioned Cornell at UMass. Do you have any thoughts on that one in terms of a different outcome versus what I had mentioned there as a potential for Cornell to drop out of the rankings?
No, I don't know what to expect with it being Cornell's first game.
Yep.
That's kind of where I'm at.
New
It's-
head coach, new players, a lot of turnover. It's going to be a prove it game, and I feel like, again, a broken record here, but nobody knows what they are. They just have a sight or an expectation based on names on a piece of
Yep.
paper.
Yeah, UMass is 5-2-0 on the season. I mean, I think this is one where I would just default to a split series.
Sure.
And that's just because I know nothing about Cornell at this point in time.
Makes sense. I've got UMass sweeping there.
'Kay.
That might be my bitterness or biases into it a little bit. The last one I have, BU and Maine.
Yeah.
BU still holding on to a 5 overall ranking, and Maine dropping down to 12. So falling out of the top 10. Both of those had, Frozen Four deep run aspirations at the beginning of the year. BU still kind of clinging on to those despite some hiccups there, and Maine has been taken advantage of a little bit over the last couple of weeks in terms of the teams that they've played, just outclassing them in many areas on the ice. I think their goaltender is having a bit of a rougher stretch to start the season versus the numbers that he was putting up last year. I don't know that many people could replicate that year over year. But I would say it can't stay like that forever. And then BU can't. The window's open to be taken advantage of for them as well. I think that they have a really talented, probably set of 3 guys on their roster, and outside of that, it's going to be a lot of younger, smaller, quicker Hockey East type players that maybe will match up well, maybe will
Sure.
produce, and I don't know that I would be able to count on them for sure. It's just kind of a roll the dice game and kind of see what comes up. So this one I am giving Maine the advantage at home. I've got a win and an overtime win.
Okay.
Wow,
those
you
are
switched it up.
2 upsets there.
Sweet.
And that has a lot to do with them playing at home and having it be a Hockey East rivalry series for them. So that's what I've got.
Yeah, Maine played a tight series against Colgate last weekend.
Yeah, Colgate, the name hurts.
Lost on Friday, and then they won in overtime 3-2. So
Yep.
I think that's going to just be a good series. I probably would say just a split. Again, not knowing much about either team at this
There
point
it
in
is.
time.
There's the split we were looking for.
Yeah, we got her all. That's what I've got. There are obviously some other games going on this week, but those were the big ranked matchups that I had
Yep.
on my list here. Any final thoughts from you guys on college hockey, those matchups, UMD in general?
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go
Get
Dogs.
going. Don't let up. Keep your foot on the gas. Do whatever
Yes.
you have to. Get me 1 win this weekend.
Oh.
Stay in the top 12.
That'd be
that's what
so
I want.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, should we jump into
Yeah,
our
let's do it.
last segment here and go over wild takes? Again, these are not necessarily related to the Minnesota Wild, but a take out there that might draw some skepticism from critics out there. Veach, do you want to kick us off, and then Sarge, and then I'll round us out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be Debbie Downer to finish the program out here. The Wild not only missed the playoffs, but they finished in the bottom 3 of the West.
Whoa!
That is a hot take. Spicy. That might be a blazing take if
I-
you're looking
I
at.
don't- hey, for the record, I don't want that to happen. I want it on record. I would hate for that to happen. But man, do I not see much of an end to this right now.
All right, serious question.
Yeah.
So, would you rather have what you just predicted or another first round exit this year?
First round exit. Still, because then you're not getting the moral slump that you have to crawl out of kicking and screaming.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. And then you just paid your guy 17 schmil a year, and
Yeah.
then you fuck it up.
Yeah, that would be tough pill to swallow.
That's such a Minnesota sports thing to happen too.
Yeah.
Like that's just classic.
It was just tough to see the 17 million price tag, and then what was it? A week, maybe two later, you see McDavid say, "Oh well, here 12 and a half. You can have me
And
for it."
April too.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh my gosh, we got swindled maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
I get it's a longer contract, and by the
100%.
end of it, it'll look good, and the cap's going up, and there's a bunch of factors that go into it. We needed to have him here. We said
Yes.
blank check.
We
and
had to, yep.
They took it, and that's fine.
Negotiating 101, leverage.
Yeah.
Kaprizov had all the leverage, and he deserved it, and he earned it. So,
I'm not mad.
100%. Nope.
no.
Happy that he's here. Sarge.
All right,
Wild
I
takes.
do have a wild take. My wild take is those new white jerseys are still ass. They've always been ass, and they always will be ass.
Hater.
I don't understand why everyone was so hyped about them.
Nostalgia.
They suck. They are
Nostalgia,
terrible
dude.
Sarge,
jerseys.
I don't know if you saw, they've got jagged edges on the numbers. Nobody does that.
And remember, they have glitter. It's like a Kesha concert, but better.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I think they stank. I will say they are better than the green ones. Will be even worse.
Which green ones?
Like the green originals.
So
Oh,
that
got it.
uniform, but green.
Not the
Okay.
script, the diagonal.
All right, I
Yeah.
don't mind that.
But the worst jersey of all time is the Christmas tree ones. Those are still the worst
The
jerseys
red
I've ever
ones?
seen. The red
That's
with
fair.
the green like shoulders, or not even shoulders, like mid bicep.
There are people that clamor for those to come back. I think they had like a wheat neckline on them.
Yeah.
as
They
well.
were
Yeah, they did.
terrible, but yeah, dude, those new white jerseys aren't nearly as cool as y'all think.
They did.
That's my wild take, baby.
You're
Alright.
in the minority.
I will round us out here with the way the Wild season is going right now. John Hines will be out by Thanksgiving as the Minnesota Wild coach.
Thanksgiving.
I
Ooh.
don't know that it's necessarily a hot take that he's gone as Wild coach, but the hot part of it is that he will be out by Thanksgiving. I don't have a ton of faith about what I've seen from this team. The penalty kill, like we talked about earlier, has to be much improved. And we need Matt's back. And I don't really know when that time will be. I think originally like December was what they were projecting,
Really?
but I could be slightly wrong on that. So
I thought we were talking weeks, not a month though yet.
no, I think Heinz is done. And then we'll probably reduce, reuse, and recycle again. So can't wait to see who the next Wild coach is.
Here's what I'll say about that. With my hot take that they were missing the playoffs. If there's a material change like that, I reserve the right to change that take.
Fair.
Yeah,
Fair.
we'll
That's
give you
fair.
that, Beach.
That's
We'll
fair.
give you
That's
that.
fair. We'll put an asterisk next
Yeah,
to
okay.
that one when we revisit this. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I know it was a long show. Thanks for bearing with us. Last thing that we'll end on is go buy our merchandise at 10ktakes.com. We just released those new 97 hats that are mint. Go drink Captain's Patch, again, at your local watering hole. Veach, thanks for being here. Sarge, thanks for producing and chat. Hope